Hello and welcome. My name is Jill Rosenberg-Jones and I'm joined by my colleague Rob Camacho. We are very happy to have you joining us at Goldman Sachs today. Many of you are joining this evening and you attend a school where we may not be able to get onto campus. We want to make sure through this webinar series that you have a chance to learn as much as possible about Goldman Sachs and that you have a way to connect with us.
We will be hosting a series of webinars over the next few months to help you understand the firm Goldman Sachs, gain some skills in interviewing, resume writing, and in general, understand the opportunities for you in our business. We will also be highlighting the application process. At the end of this program, you'll be getting the timeline, next steps, what to do, so please stay tuned.
Great, so let's jump right in because we do have a lot to cover today. Goldman Sachs, as you may know, is a leading global investment banking, securities, and investment management firm. We do a lot of things, and that's a mouthful, so we're going to talk to you about what we do and try to make it as accessible as possible. So one thing we do is we are an advisor, meaning we work with clients to help them understand whether they should, for example, buy another company or divest of a company. We act as an advisor. We also act as a financier, meaning that in our investment banking division, we help our clients to raise capital through equity and debt issuances. We also act as an asset manager, meaning that we help our clients manage their assets. So, for example, we help clients manage pension funds or other major assets and try to get them the very best returns that we can. We also are a market maker or an intermediary, meaning that if there are clients who want to buy a certain equity or debt issuance, for example, and it might be a little hard to get, we will help them to get that debt issuance or equity by going and finding that in the market for them. And then we also can be a co-investor. We invest principal in different companies, and we do that alongside our clients at times and on our own as well.
Now, for everyone that isn't a finance major, Jill, you said you were a history major.
Yep, American history.
So, you know, just a lot of words, a lot of things that seem pretty complicated. When I think of Goldman Sachs and I think of what we do, I would say, pretty simply, Goldman Sachs takes what we have, our people, our capital, or just another word for money, and we look to match those things up with our clients' needs. Some clients need money, and we're happy to either invest our own money or get our clients' money over to another client, or we try to get our people connected with our clients to help them solve problems. So really, when you look at the organization, as big as it is, from 10,000 feet, we're really doing some pretty simple things, just like everyone else is doing. We're giving advice, and we're helping people find what they need. Money, people, really anything. So we have 15 divisions. We have over 70 offices in 34 countries. We're a sizable firm. We have 31,000 people all over the world. And Jill, I'm sure you experience this just like I do. And any given day, when I woke up this morning, first thing I did was I actually emailed someone in Singapore, try to get a price back to someone that I was dealing with in Europe. I'm in sales, so my client was trying to actually transact in Singapore. So it's really just, you know, globe spanning, and then any given day, any person can be dealing in any country. Our biggest offices globally are New York, London, Bangalore, Salt Lake City, and Hong Kong. So as you can see, a very diverse, very global network of offices. So we have a lot of different divisions. Jill and I are in two different divisions, but when we got in here, the first thing we did was kind of compare notes on who we talked to and some of the people that we co-interact with. So we have 15 divisions at the firm. We have kind of when you start really thinking about that from a bird's eye view, we have the securities division, we have investment banking, we have our investment management division, which encompasses what we call Goldman Sachs Asset Management. And then following on that, we have our other businesses that are, as we call the Federation. And those act as the control functions. So we have compliance, operations, we have internal audit, the real estate that we all live and breathe in every day. Division for that. We have our credit department. It's just, Federation divisions make up over 58% of the firm. So as you can imagine, it's a very, very large part of our population from a people perspective as well as value.
And I work in the operations division, which is the second largest division in the Federation. And I just want to echo something that you said, Rob, which I could very much relate to, which is on any given day, I'm talking to people all around the world. I run teams in 14 offices in 9 different countries that report up through me. We are constantly working to make sure that we're offering the best that we can to our partners in the revenue division. And I just find it to be very, very exciting work. So, having a call with someone in Tokyo first thing in the morning and then talking to our Salt Lake City office, and they're just getting up and starting their day. Also, then speaking to Bangalore office, and it's very exciting. And traveling as well. I'm sure you do a lot of traveling, Rob, as I do. So we do want to take a closer look at how both of the divisions, both the revenue divisions and the Federation, support the firm, and how we all form a really close partnership to make sure that we're doing the very best that we can for our clients.
So one of the first divisions maybe we'll dive into is our Global Investment Research Division. Many of you are familiar with, you flick on CNBC and some stock is up because an analyst upgraded it, or a company news of some sort, reading the Wall Street Journal. This is where this is produced. This content for our clients is produced out of our Investment Research Division. So there's analysts. They specialize in companies and particular industries. And when we have our clients are making investment decisions, we want to make sure they're making the most informed decision possible. As an investment decision, any of folks out there have either invested themselves or their parents have invested for their retirement or anything of that sort. Their investment manager has so many things to think about, whether it be the economy, whether it be a specific company, an industry, a country. They're just too much for these folks to do a very deep dive on every individual investment. Therefore, they lean on their partners, being Wall Street and specifically Goldman Sachs, and our expert research division to really deliver the on-the-ground research that can drive healthy and informed investment decisions. Next, IBD. So we call it IBD. It's Investment Banking Division, and the Investment Banking Division is, I would say, storied at Goldman Sachs. It's really, the firm's main advisory arm. This is where, when you think about in the recent news, we recently took Twitter public. Big transaction. I'm sure a lot of you use Twitter. I don't have a Twitter account yet. I'm still considering it. But this is where the senior leadership of the firm gets together and really starts to advise our clients on maybe buying another company. When's the right time to go public? During that public process, who's going to invest? There's just a huge amount of solutions that we give to our clients. Again, going back to that concept of our clients either need advice, or they need money, or they need a little bit of both, and we're there really to help them and guide them through that process.
We are in a highly regulated industry, and we have several divisions that help us navigate through all of the regulations and ensure that we not only stick to the law, but also to the spirit of the law. So one of those is compliance. Compliance really does make sure that we are working within the spirit and the letter of all of our laws and regulations. And in addition, we have legal. Our legal division really makes sure that we manage reputational risk for the firm, legal and reputational risk for the firm. And we have our internal audit division. Our internal audit division partners with the businesses to make sure, well, they don't actually partner with the business. They are an arm of Goldman Sachs that helps to make sure that all of our processes and all of the things that we're doing are actually done in the right way and are done to make sure that our control environment is the very best that it can be. Rob?
So now I want to take a step back and really talk about the market. So, there's a lot in the news. You can pick up the news almost any day, and they're constantly talking about banks, market-making practices, what's happening there. First of all, I'll say, fun place to be. It's where I work. So I work on a floor of 400 people. People are kind of sitting very close together. They're, transacting with their clients. It's an exciting place to be, a trading floor. And really that's the market. So the market is really a place where buyers and sellers of something come together, and Goldman Sachs acts as that intermediary. In my job, I'm a salesperson, and there's a lot of times, just like everyone at home experiences, I think if you haven't, and you probably will at some time in your life, buy a car. And there's a little bit of what we call haggling, and our clients are doing the same thing. We have a bunch of either securities, whether it be stocks or bonds, any type of financial instrument. Our clients would like to either buy or sell, and the price at which the market wants to buy or sell, and when I say the market, I mean other clients or other banks as principal just meaning with our own money. The price isn't exactly matching up. So we call that bid ask. So it's our job to really close that gap. We close that gap in a lot of different ways, mostly through negotiation, just like you would on that car lot. So really, the securities division at a 10,000-foot view, that's what we're doing. We're closing those gaps. We're creating the marketplace. And sometimes when there's only sellers, we're stepping in to add liquidity to make sure that our sellers are able to sell, and then we'll wait for a buyer sometime down the road. Or we're finding both sides at once. The securities division is made up of FICC, F-I-C-C, which stands for Fixed Income, Currency, and Commodities. That's your traditional bonds, FX, and our commodities business, which has a lot of news about that. Oil trading and natural gas, all the things that really fuel the economy at all times, and we're all affected by it. And then we have our equities division, which is also a very large division, and folks on campus are probably pretty familiar with. It's the stock ticker quote. I mean, it's the New York Stock Exchange. It's all that you see, and really we're just acting as an intermediary to try to help bring buyers and sellers together.
Yeah, and we have many divisions that support this. One other of the divisions is the finance division. The finance division really seeks to make sure that all of the money that's coming in and out as our buyers buy and our sellers sell, and that we are helping to make sure that our businesses have the right structure, and also that we are really making sure that the risk that we're taking on is appropriate. Overall finance really helps to control. We have $950 billion of assets, and finance really helps us to control these assets and to know where all these assets are at any given time.
And next we're going to talk about the investment management division. In our previous slide, we talked about the fixed income and equities, and we're making markets, and our clients are hedge funds and pension funds and big institutional clients. We really deal with the larger institutions. In our investment management division, we really are designing portfolios, and we're trying to help our clients achieve specific goals. So we're really acting less as that matcher of buyer and seller, and it's akin to somebody sitting down and saying, here are my goals. If we're dealing with an institution, let's say a university endowment, we might sit down and say, what are your actual goals? And then we might help them design a portfolio, design a strategy to help them meet those goals. So less about that buying and selling, and more of a role around meeting your investing goals.
So technology is a large division in the firm. In fact, 1 in 4 people in the firm works in the technology division. It's a big number. We said earlier we had about 31,000, so up towards 8,000 people are in the technology division. And the technology division really helps us to support innovation that's happening in the revenue divisions and drive innovation as well. In technology, we have some key groups. We have application development. Now, those are the people who actually create software. They're coding. We also have infrastructure systems. Those are the people who take care of things like our compute farms. So you can imagine a huge building filled with computers, servers, server after server after server, and we have people who take care of that. Also, those people do all of the things that help us, for example, have Bloomberg coming in and Twitter feeds coming in and all of the information that we need about pricing from all over the world, and helping to get it to our salespeople and traders, and then helping us to get information back out. And then we also consider that, we consider tech to be really the backbone of the firm, because we do feel like technology is a key competitive element to what we do. And I'll just say I work with our technologists every day, and they are some of the most inventive people and creative people that I have ever worked with.
We're not exempt from the trend.
No.
Technology ruling the world, that's for sure.
That's right. That's right. In fact, we've been referred to sometimes as a technology firm by our leadership because that just recognizes how impactful and how important technology is to everything that we do. So now we'll go on to talk a little bit about operations, which is where I work. Operations is really the group that once a transaction happens, so once, for example, Rob has clients who actually want to do a transaction with Goldman Sachs, Rob will help them get their transaction through, and then everything that happens after they say yes is really managed in operations. So we call this in shorthand, after the trade is made, everything that happens. So we have a lot of groups in operations, but in particular, we have groups focused on client relationships. We have groups focused on risk, and then we have groups who are focused on processing trades in each of the different product areas. So, for example, Rob mentioned commodities earlier. We have a group of people who work in commodities operations, and one of the things I find very interesting about them is one person told me one day they talk to ship captains in the morning. Ship captains who are, for example,
how's the weather?
Yeah, right. How's the weather in Turkey, or how's the weather in Hong Kong? So I think that's pretty interesting.
I also think it's worth noting that I actually started my career in operations.
Oh.
I went to Lehigh. I just applied online.
Uh-huh.
I would like to take credit that I'm probably one of the first people to apply online. And I started in operations, and through my career, a couple years in, I decided that I wanted to try something else, and everyone was open for it.
That's great. That's really great.
So I think it's probably a good segue into kind of our leadership.
Sure. So we also have leadership. We also have 3 other really important areas in terms of how we manage the culture of our firm and our people. The first of which is the executive office. This is where our CEO and our president sit, and many of the other people who are really integral to making sure that Goldman Sachs has the right culture in place, that we have the right brand and the right strategy, and that our people are being talked to, that we're talking to each other through internal communications, and also talking to the world through our media relations and government affairs departments, and also our investor relations.
So these are the guys on CNBC.
Right, these are the guys you see on CNBC, absolutely. We have a group called Services. Services, well, they do a lot of very interesting things. They do make sure that all of our buildings run smoothly and well, but they also do a lot of real estate. They do a lot of planning of our new buildings, and I don't know, when I talk to them, I am always amazed at the kinds of things that they focus on. They also do our global security as well. And then we have what we call Human Capital Management, or HCM. This is the group that in some other places is referred to as human resources, but here we call it Human Capital Management because we do really think of our people as our biggest asset. And in HCM, or Human Capital Management, they really help us to bring in the best and the brightest. They are helping us to do, for example, this webinar series to reach people that we don't normally reach, or that we can't normally reach in the school year if we're not coming on campus. And they really just make sure that our people are trained and have what they need in order to be as successful as possible.
Well, it's our only asset. We don't make anything in this building. We only as the executive office says, our biggest asset leaves out the door every single day. So as you can imagine, people are everything. I think that's a good way to kind of segue into the culture of the firm. Recently, I was making a speech to some prospective college students, and I really had to think about what the culture was of the firm. And I really thought about this for a long time. And I think at the end of the day, what I boiled it down to was Goldman Sachs is a place where you don't do anything today because you did it yesterday. Everyone is responsible for innovation, moving everything forward, curve jumping, just all of the things that you think about when you think about great companies. every single person at Goldman Sachs is tasked with that at every day. And everyone has that voice. So when you think about Goldman Sachs, you think about the A player. A players love to hire A+ players.
Yes.
It just breeds this level of professional excellence that really people just don't get in everyday dealings with their normal companies. And I think that's something that everyone can say about Goldman Sachs is we just have a bunch of A players and A+ players, and that makes things pretty easy. Makes things pretty easy from an integrity point of view, where there's just an expectation that you're going to do the right thing. There's no questions around it. There's no gray areas, which is very interesting. Our teamwork and our meritocracy, as I said earlier, I started in the operations division. I felt like I did a good job. And when I raised my hand to do something else, the opportunity was there. And I'm sure you felt the same way throughout your career that
absolutely,
when you have an idea or you do something, everyone's giving you the credit, and you're welcome to take on more responsibility if you'd like. The other thing is just I'm in sales, so again there's trading, which you're making the prices. I'm in sales. I'm contacting clients. Operations, you're trying to make sure somebody's getting their oil at the right place at the right time, or whatever the case may be. And I think through all of that, there's this entrepreneurial spirit where, like I said initially, you're not doing anything today because you did it yesterday. You might be doing something different. You can raise your hand and say, I think that I should be doing this different. I think that, I think I should be working more closely with Jill, and nobody will question you. Everyone is open to new ideas, and everyone has a voice and a responsibility to really be an entrepreneur and really try to help the firm achieve its goals, which at the end of the day is helping our clients, who then move the economy forward. There's nothing more than anyone would like than the economy to move forward, everyone's standard of living to rise, and the pie just get bigger for everyone. And at the end of the day, that's what we're in here doing every day.
I couldn't agree more, particularly about the entrepreneurial spirit, where we'll take a good idea from anyone, right? So I have people who come in right from college, and they come in and they look at some process and they say, well, why do you do it this way? And then we have to answer. And if it's not a good enough reason, we'll change the process. We have people who are helping us, who are right out of college, helping us understand, what do we need to do with social media? How do we need to help reach our clients? How do we reach you? How do we reach people internally? And how do we do the best with it? So I do think that that anyone who has a great idea will have a voice, and it's really extraordinary here how we absolutely listen. We want those good ideas.
We have the internship program going on right now, and I use it as an opportunity to try to get as many good ideas as I can, because there's nothing like having somebody with really a completely different perspective coming into a business and just asking that question of why, or really starting to either get you to be introspective about your business or offering up great ideas.
Yeah.
I did my first computer book report in 6th grade. The folks coming up now never knew life without a computer. So it's a constant move forward, and I think there's a realization of that at the highest levels of the firm, that the incoming college kids, whether it be as an internship or as a full-time position, add real value right now, especially as we move forward. And worth mentioning before we run out of time that we have a long-standing way of expressing a lot of our firm's beliefs and really characteristics. it's the business principles. And John Whitehead took pen to paper as he was running the firm and a leader of the firm, and really wrote down our business principles. And I think it's a big statement that they haven't changed all that much. I think we've updated, and just like any firm would, right. But they haven't changed. Especially, I'd like to highlight number one, which is our clients' interests always come first. Our experience shows us that if we serve our clients well, our own success will follow. Nobody will argue with that at the firm. And then number 11, we constantly strive to anticipate the rapidly changing needs of clients and to develop new services to meet those needs. And that strikes a chord with me and that sounds like a tech firm's tagline.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really what we're here to do. We're developing innovative solutions for our client. And I think also, along the lines of, like we said, our best asset and our most valuable asset is our people. They went further in principles 6 and 7 to our commitment to diversity. We make an unusual effort to identify and recruit the very best person for every job. Although our activities are measured in billions of dollars, we select our people one by one. In a service business, we know without the best people, we cannot be the best firm. And I think that goes back to A players hire A+ players.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're trying to foster here. And then, number 7, business principle number 7, these can all be found on our website. For us to be successful, our men and women must reflect the diversity of the communities and cultures which we operate. That means we must attract and retain and motivate people from many backgrounds, perspectives. Being diverse is not optional. It's what we must be. And that's true. We can't compete in a global world if our workforce isn't global. We're just not going to be able to, fully understand what our clients are looking for on a daily basis. I'm sure you see this every day in your business. Every day.
And I love it when I, for example, walk by some of the people on my team and they're speaking different languages to people around the world. I just think it's fantastic. They bring their whole selves to work. One of the other ways that we show our commitment, and we really do get to participate in being part of the fabric of the diversity of the firm, is through affinity networks. So we have many, many affinity networks, whether those are the firm-wide women's network or the LGBT network. We have plenty of networks, and they really do provide a wonderful source of information, support, and they're fantastic for things like career development and bringing in amazing guest speakers. So I belong to about 6 different affinity networks. I belong to all of the ones in operations. The Asian network, the Hispanic and Latino network, the Operations Black network, the Women's network. I'd love to hear about everything that the networks are doing, and the events are always very interesting, great.
And they're open to everyone.
And they're open to everyone. Yes, thank you.
Everyone goes to all these events.
Everyone goes to everything.
great time
for
everyone.
Yes, terrific. And then one other thing that we wanted to talk about was our commitment to helping communities where we work and live. So we have amazing corporate engagement, really amazing corporate engagement at all levels, and corporate engagement that you can get involved in. So we've committed $1.6 billion to our communities through philanthropy, and I think we're all very, very proud of that fact. We have programs that support really solving really crucial problems. So, for example, we have a program called 10,000 Women, and when it was launched a few years ago, I was a mentor, part of the first cohort of women, and I was a mentor to a woman in Lagos, Nigeria, who was opening her own who had a software business. And so I helped her figure out, she said she wasn't quite sure how to get people to actually get the work done, and she and I sat there and worked it through, and it was so interesting. So I think there are plenty of opportunities to get involved in all of our philanthropic efforts, no matter what level you're at. And you might have heard that, and I'm sure we've done many of these, but you might have heard that we have something called Community Teamworks, where each of us takes a day.
It's hard work.
Every year, and we go and we have a choice of many, many things that we can volunteer to do. And I find it to be one of the most satisfying days of the year, even if it is very hard work, whether you're painting a ceiling or planting a garden or working with children or whatever it is that you're most interested in doing. I'm sure that if philanthropy, if community engagement is important to you, you can also get that satisfaction through Goldman Sachs. So we know that we've given you a lot of information, and we want to make sure that we open up for questions. So if any of you have questions, please let us know, and we'll take questions for the remaining time.
Okay, here's one.
Okay.
In today's competitive market, what differentiates GS from the other global financial services companies? That's a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I'll give my perspective, and then you can give yours.
Sure.
I think there's a pretty big difference, which is just a little bit of a matter of fact, where Goldman Sachs is an institutional only securities type place in my division. So we don't have a brick and mortar bank where people are making deposits and giving mortgages and things of that sort. We really are institutionally focused. So that's a big difference just from a structural perspective. So we're really dealing, we're vertically integrated a little bit, where we're dealing with the big institutions, the endowments, really thinking about these big problems that exist at institutional levels, akin to what I talked about earlier, where due to, let's say, low interest rates right now, a college endowment may want to build a building or something to that effect, and they want to meet their goals of investing. That would be a problem we would tackle.
Yeah.
And then I think below the surface, we're only 31,000 people, and when you think about that, it sounds big, but there's a lot of folks that are sitting on the floor that remember when we were 9,000 or 5,000 or 10,000. And I think that's a big difference. I think the partnership structure that we have, even though we're a public company, makes a big difference. When you look at the other banks, they have hundreds of thousands of employees.
Right. And I would just add that culture, our Goldman Sachs culture, is so clear, and I think the culture really is a big differentiator. So all of the things you were saying before, Rob, about our commitment to excellence and our integrity and meritocracy, those are really key pieces of our secret sauce. Okay, so the next question is, what's the best way to market yourself to the firm as a non-finance major? So as an American history major, I will certainly take this on. Well, I think it depends on what you want to do. So the first thing that you should do is make sure that you explore all of the areas of the firm. We hope we've told you about a lot of different areas. A lot of times when people think about Goldman Sachs, they might just think about investment banking or trading, sales and trading. But there's so many groups in the firm that you can actually look to for what might fit with who you are. So one of the things we look for in everyone is this commitment to being the A-plus player. Really coming in, we don't expect you as college students to have a ton of domain knowledge, deep knowledge about finance, but what we do want is a very intense curiosity, a willingness to learn, attention to detail. We want people who are really motivated and driven to accomplish great things in their career. And so I think that if you can show that you are someone who's very thoughtful and logical and analytical, no matter what your major is.
And enthusiastic. You come in every day.
Right. You get
just
up
like anything else.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Yeah.
It's really about that, enthusiasm, coming to work. You you really want to make change every day, and that's the people that we have.
Yeah. And it's rewarded.
Absolutely. And like you said, history major, and obviously succeeding. So the next question, how is the culture of the firm displayed in the different divisions? I think that's an interesting one. I think the different divisions have the same bedrock of culture, of excellence, integrity. Everyone seems to know how to communicate in the Goldman Sachs way, which is one where our clients come first, and we are extremely diligent on making sure our clients' needs are met. Once you get past that, I think divisions have a little bit of a culture. I think the securities division I'll speak for tends to be a little bit of a noisy floor type environment, and you tend to see people who work better in that environment kind of pick the securities division.
Yeah.
And then you have the investment banking division, which has a little bit more. When you walk on that floor, it's a little quieter, and it's a little more longer timeline of transactions or what you're working on. Whereas I may do many transactions in one day. An investment banker may do a very large transaction, like bringing Twitter public,
right,
but that may take a year.
Yeah.
And in operations, I'm sure you guys have within the specific division have different personalities across groups.
Yeah, I think that there are these different personalities, but there are also I think that the similarities, there are more similarities, many more similarities than differences. So this is our last question. Is there an opportunity to take on significant responsibility even as an intern? And I would say yes. We do not put our interns in positions where it's particularly risky, so you can have significant responsibility without being in a position where it's not good for anyone, for you or for the firm, to have too much risk. But I will say, for example, in my group, and my group is a projects group. We run projects globally for all of operations. We have an intern. We have one intern who is helping us to figure out our dashboarding strategy. So that's how we visually represent data. We have another intern who is doing an information strategy on new capabilities that we're bringing into the organization that people have not really done before. So we have something called business process management. Some of you may have heard of that, BPM, where we're taking processes and we're mapping them visually so that everyone can see exactly what's happening where. And we think that that's a lot of responsibility to give to an intern.
It certainly sounds it. In the securities division, we have a rotational program, and really, like anything else in the securities division, it's about creativity and seeing the big picture. Certainly, I'll give you an example around my seat. The Fed minutes just came out. Everyone's reading them. Everyone's trying to talk to their clients about what they may mean. And there is no meaning, but we all try to figure out what they do mean. And we have interns reading them, engaging in the conversation, and that may lead to a trade idea or some type of actionable process internally to get a trade done. Now they're, we're like you said, limiting the risk that they're taking, but at the same time, they're really engaging in that conversation and showing the how much value they add right away. It's great.
Yeah.
Thank you for participating. I hope you found today's content useful. As I mentioned earlier, we'll be following up with an email with all of you who logged in today, with upcoming details of future webinars as well as the application next steps.
We hope you continue to participate in our GS webinar series, and we look forward to reviewing your application.